So I'm finally back. Not necessarily officially back just yet. I'm still working to get there, but I'll explain that in a moment. Right now, it's almost time for the new year. Hopefully you guys will be seeing this video close to around the new year time, because I'm creating my prayer board in place of my vision board. Which you guys know, I normally always create a vision board, but this year I'm switching it up a bit because that's what I've been called to do. And again, that is something I'll be explaining to you in a moment.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
What's up, icons? It's the iconic fashion figure. And as I just mentioned, I am creating what used to be my vision board, but I'm doing it with the twist this year, and I'm doing my prayer board. And for those of you that were following during June when I was doing my heat wave hustle and literally had a mental breakdown back in June, you know that I had a rough year. This year it's been terrible for me. To get straight to the point, because I know all of you have your questions. I know a lot of you have reached out to me. I've even had some of you reach out and ask me, when am I coming back? Because you're waiting for me to post new videos. Well, unfortunately, what I had to experience back in springtime of 2024, I was sexually assaulted, and it took a mental toll on me. Mental, physically, emotionally, it like damaged me. So I've really had a hard time getting back there, which is why I say I'm not fully there yet. So I'm not going to say that I'm officially back yet, because this has been so up and down for me. It's hard for me to remain consistent with recording these videos. I try to. I want to so bad get back to it, because I want that piece of me that feels like me and to feel normal, but I'm not quite there yet. Plus, I don't have my team anymore since I haven't been recording YouTube, which means I'm doing it all. Editing, recording, planning, all of that is now on me. I don't have help. So it's definitely not consistent yet, and I don't want to hire anyone new until I know that I can be consistent. And I can't speak too much on all of this right now, just because there is a criminal case, which is why I know for sure I'm not going to be consistent, because that's what my year is going to be looking like, dealing with this trial for this. And I know that I can't truly 100% heal until that trial is over with, because with the trial comes me reliving this moment. So it's a lot for me. I'm not going to commit to something that I can't fully commit to just yet. But with all that being said, I am doing everything that I can to try to record when I can. I've actually been trying for a couple months now. I just haven't put any of the videos out yet, because I feel like it's still just not my best work, since it's not fully me. I've also been trying something new called video journaling, because in the process of journaling, sometimes it's hard for me to write with the anxiety that I've had built up in me. So sometimes it's easier to record, plus it gives me that sense of normal again, to do something that I've always been so used to doing. So I tried the approach with the video journaling, but sometimes that's even difficult too, because if I'm not in the best mood, there's no way I'm about to sit in front of a camera. Just like this video, I've been trying to do my prayer board for like 2 weeks now and have not been able to do it, just because my anxiety has been getting the best of me. I have not been in the best state. But I'm doing it today. I had to pray on it. I literally, before I hit record, just sat here and prayed so that I can get through this. But anyway, so about the prayer board. You guys know I normally always create vision boards, but in this time that I've just been to myself and trying to better myself, I've been doing what I can to bring myself back closer to God. And that's what's been helping me heal. That's what's been helping me get to this point. Of course, I was in therapy and those things too, to get all the help that I can get, because I needed all the help that I can get. This is not something I can go through alone. But I knew the number one thing I needed to do was bring myself closer to God. So with that, I've been called to, instead of creating the vision boards letting go of the vision boards this year, and I'm doing a prayer board, which I've seen people talk about doing a prayer board, but theirs is a little different than what I'm doing. I'm still adopting like my vision board look, but with prayer instead. And this is not to shame anyone that wants to do vision boards. I have created vision boards. I have videos on here of me doing vision boards before, so I'm not shaming you whatsoever. I'm just doing what I'm being called to do. And the way that I see it is that for 2025, instead of looking at a board every day, because that's what the vision board is for, something for you to look at daily as a reminder of what you're working towards. For me, because I've been in literally was diagnosed with severe depression, I'm doing everything I can to come out of that. And one of the things that has really helped me is prayer. So the thing that I want to be able to wake up to and look at every single day is prayer. And the different verses and the different prayers that God has brought upon me every day during this several months of going through this, because I've been dealing with this since April of 2024. I prefer to look at my prayers, something to set the tone for my day and to keep me motivated, especially since I have to now go through this year dealing with a trial and have to still keep reliving this. I said I wasn't gonna cry. Trying hard not to. But I feel like the prayer board is what's needed for me. Because that's what's keeping me uplifted and keeping me going. That's what's suppressing my anxiety. Like, I couldn't even bring myself today to even record this video or create my prayer board without getting through my anxiety today. I can't believe this is still so hard. It's been months and it's still tough. You know, I haven't even said those words to anyone yet of what I've actually gone through. It's the first time I'm actually speaking that out. I've said it when doing my video journaling, but those were journals that were mainly just for me. You guys may see some of the footage from those times because I was trying to record videos for you guys. So some of it is consistent of my work until the anxiety and depression would take over, or I'm sitting there crying and it's like, oh, forget it, and I cut the camera off. But all I can do is just keep trying. So I'm going to create my prayer board. I don't want to keep crying, so I'm not going to keep talking about that. I just want to go into the prayer board. I'll show it to you guys, and then I can go more into explaining it, because I know it just became tough for me to even explain to you guys why I'm creating it. But with every board that I do, whether it's vision board or prayer board, I have my board. This is literally the same board I used last year. I just put new white paper on there, and then I always print out, well, I shouldn't say always, because I've done digital boards too that I like to have on my phone and iPad to look at daily. But this year I really want to do the physical board. So I did print out photos, which I need scissors, 1 second. So I have my photos printed out, and as you can see, some of them, they have a verse on it. That one also has a verse. Some of them are more personal, of things that came up in my conversations with God during my prayer. That's also a verse. There's actual full-on prayers in here, like this one's a full prayer, which I want to keep together because it's on 2 pages. I need tissue now, what the heck? So yeah, so I have prayers printed out. I have different Bible verses, which I'll try to show some of them to you, or at least read it off to you, because I know it may be hard to read from the camera, especially with the lighting and stuff. Some of them are a little more personal, because like I said, there are things that came up in my prayers, things that God has spoken to me along this way that I just want those reminders of daily to keep me going. And then some of our verses, which recently I went through the full book of Psalms. That's really what helped dig me out of that deep depression. So you'll probably see a lot of verses from Psalms on here because that is what I recently just read through. Here's my 2025. But yeah, I'm gonna start putting this all together. Now, the one thing that I will say, because that's one of the things I didn't get to before I started getting all emotional. The main difference between what I'm creating right now versus what I normally would create on my vision boards. My old vision boards normally consisted of like my goals and what I was trying to achieve. So it'll have work goals, personal goals. I also included materialistic things that I was trying to gain. And that's why I chose to steer away from the vision boards and go more towards prayer board, was because one, I don't want to focus on the material things right now, or really ever anymore. I don't care about the materialistic stuff. I want to focus more mentally and emotional. And then two, just because I'm not putting my goals on here doesn't mean that I don't have goals. I do still have goals. They're in my planner. There's things that I'm working towards. But the difference between what I used to do and what I'm doing now is that as I bring myself closer to God again and walk in the path that God has set for me, I don't want to do everything my way. And I feel like that's what my old vision boards were a lot of goals that I created myself. I didn't pray on those things that I was doing. God didn't send me those goals. That was stuff that I created for myself. Now I need to do it His way. So I don't want to put my goals on here because the goals that I have right now probably won't be the same goals in 6 months or even towards the end of the year. And I know that because I already know what I'm about to go through right now is probably going to stop me from being able to achieve what it is that maybe I want to achieve. I've already experienced that last year. I lost so much. I lost so much last year because of this whole situation, because I mentally, physically, emotionally couldn't focus on anything that I had. I was trying so hard not to cry. I had so much planned for myself last year and I didn't get to achieve any of it because of what I was dealing with. So I don't want to set those goals for myself and make them permanent on this board that I'm looking at every day, knowing that it'll most likely all change. And instead of frustrating myself for a second year in a row that I can't achieve what I was set out to do, I'm not going to make it permanent on the board. I'm just going to allow God to guide my steps, and what's meant for me to achieve next year, I will achieve. The only thing that I know that God is calling me to do, as I mentioned in that video when I had a mental breakdown, was to be still. That's what He's called me to do. That is what I've been doing. And it's so funny, I actually have that. It's actually right here. Be still and know that I am God. And that's one of the verses that I've heard multiple times throughout my life. But that day when God brought that message to me, when I was praying, just please give me an out, because that day, I kid you not, I thought that was my last day on this earth. God made that very clear that no, it's not happening. And He just kept telling me to be still. But my mind was in such darkness, which I can't even explain that darkness. It literally was just black. But I was in such darkness that I couldn't even understand what He was trying to tell me by be still. Like, I'm literally sitting here crying. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going anywhere. So I don't even know what you're talking about by be still. But, now that I have a clear mind again, and now that I've been able to focus on Him again, of course I understand what He means by be still. And that's what I've been doing. As you can see, I'm not creating a prayer board. I've literally been just in His Word, my head down to the Bible at all times, praying constantly. All I can do is just be still. So that's why I say I'm not by any means shaming anyone that chooses to create a vision board. I am just doing what truly is right for me at this time. Will I create a vision board in the future? I'm not sure. I really don't know what the future holds. I'm only taking it one day at a time. So let me stop talking before I start crying again, and let me go ahead and start putting together my board. I was supposed to be drinking my tea to hopefully calm me down and keep me from crying. I didn't let it get cold. Thankfully, I recorded in the kitchen. Alright, so the first thing that I usually do is try to sort out what I even have and try to figure out an order I want to go in. For the most part, these are all like on solid colors. And I just did more so the color scheme that was supposed to be for my branding when I was starting my rebranding this year. That was one of the things I started earlier this year and didn't get to finish. So I don't think I have, and it matches my office too. I think I'm gonna hang it up in my office since I'm trying to get back to working consistently. And a lot of my time is spent right in my office once I do get back to my schedule, or at least a consistent schedule, whatever that may look like, because right now I'm not consistent at all. Most of 2024 I did not even work, so I'm trying to get back to that because I miss working, and I can't let my businesses crumble because of this. I refuse to allow that to happen. But while I organize these, I'm going to put this on, so I probably won't be talking to you guys as much, just so I can get it organized, and then once I kind of get the flow of this and lay it out, I'll talk to you again.
Praise the Lord.
It's messing up. That was supposed to be live, but it's messing up, so I guess you guys get to hear me talk. I don't think I printed enough. I might have to do more. I think the board that I have is 16 by 20, 16 by 24, something like that. Yeah, I definitely didn't do enough of them. And I wanted my more personal prayers to be more centered. The ones that really carried me through to even make it into 2025, because I certainly didn't think I would, so more than grateful to be able to. Yeah, I definitely didn't print enough. I don't know why I thought this is about how many I did last year, but this is not even close. I probably need like double what I have, which is okay, because there was actually a lot of verses that I was wishing that I did print and I didn't. So that gives me a reason to print it. Really quickly, I'll show you guys what I do have on here for right now, but obviously I'm gonna have to record this later on when I can get the rest of my images, because it's kind of too late to do it today. I don't know if I'll be able to get them today, but tomorrow. So I ended up getting more pictures printed, since I did not have enough the last time. This receipt. So let me go ahead and finish off this prayer board. Which, by the way, I think the last time I said that this first round of pictures, I printed 20. I actually printed 28, so I almost did 30 of them. And I just did another 23. So I should hopefully have enough this time. And these didn't print that good. Those other prints are better, but whatever. Get the job done. So now I'm gonna do is just go in and finish filling up this board. I also share with you guys some of the things I have on here. And I know I kind of explained what's on here, but I didn't really show you guys what's actually on here. So I know I showed you guys the Be Still and Know That I'm God. Oh yeah, I printed these at CVS. These are horrible. Like, this was supposed to be solid color. I don't know if you guys are even gonna be able to see that down at the bottom, but it's like streaks in it. This one's kind of cut off, and I made it so that there was space. They look blurry too. Well, I know not to print at CVS again. One I'm specifically looking for that's supposed to go in the middle. So I think I want to cut this one and put it in the middle because this one is a Bible verse that literally has been with me since I started my business. If you run back to old videos where I explained how I started my business, I mentioned this because in that video I talked about me watching, or I should say listening to, Steve Harvey's podcast, which for those of you guys that don't like Steve Harvey, just focus on the message, not the messenger. But in his podcast, he used to basically just give motivation, especially to entrepreneurs or those that are just trying to live out the things that are set before them, because he explains his journey on getting started. So that was something that I used to always listen to. And one of the things that always stood out to me was when he would say the Bible verse, which is what actually helped him and it actually helped me. But it's to whom much is given, much is required, which is in Luke 12. And ever since I heard that podcast episode, which I listened to that episode multiple times, it always just stuck with me. To whom much is given, much is required. And I almost didn't print this one. Like, this is one of the ones I forgot when I was doing this stuff. And then I had one of those days where I was just having a rough day. And I just started to feel like, when it comes to doing YouTube, it was a day I was debating on recording or not recording, because as I mentioned to you guys, I've been trying to record when I was in, like, when I'm in a good place, I try to record. And I also was doing the video journaling, but I got to this point where I was kind of discouraged, and I just felt like, you know what, I think I should just be done with YouTube, because it got me to a point where I feel like what I'm doing here on YouTube, while I try to keep this all positive and try to spread positivity and motivate other people, I feel like me being on here is opening up those doors and subjecting me to evil people, because I kid you not, every time I have to go through something, the first thing that these evil people are getting ready to curse, and that's not even me anymore, but these evil people just clearly got demons in them. The first thing they always talk about is how they're gonna go to my business and try to tear down my business, and how they're gonna go to YouTube and make sure you guys don't ever watch me again. I've heard that before. I had to hear it again dealing with this situation. I don't know what this person's motives was with all of this that I've had to deal with, between the sexual assault and then the harassment after. Like, of course, that's where it then went to after the sexual assault, which I better stop talking about it, because I said I'm not supposed to be putting any of that in this video since the trial is still going on. But I had that moment of discouragement, thinking maybe I should step away from this, because it's like that opens me up to these attacks for some reason, when I'm literally just trying to do something positive. I don't come on here and deceive people. I come on here and I remain humble. I don't even show my true lifestyle. I don't show what I truly do, because I don't want it to be discouraging to someone else. I also don't want to make myself the subject of those that are trying to do bad things. When you start to flaunt and you're not remaining humble, you make yourself a target, and that's what I've been trying not to do, and yet somehow I still feel like I'm the target. So I was in this place of just walk away from YouTube. Don't do it anymore. Like, don't keep putting yourself out there for these people to continue to attack you, when, because at the end of the day, all I have is me. I have to be able to protect me. So I was at a point I was getting ready to step away from it all and just stop recording. But I came across this TikTok video. I was literally sitting there just scrolling on TikTok, because I didn't have the mental capacity to even do anything else that day. And as I'm scrolling through TikTok, there was a girl on there talking about reading the book of Luke. And for whatever reason, as I'm listening to her video, it was telling me to go to Luke 12. And I kid you not, in that moment, I did not know why I was going to Luke 12. Until I read Luke 12, and I got to verse 48. And I read, to whom much is given, much is required. And like, I completely forgot about that. That's where I started at. That's what kept me going in the beginning when I first started my business, and I had nothing but faith. So when I read that, and I literally sat there and I read it over and over again, and I realized I'm being brought to read this right now for a reason, because God's trying to let me know, I set you on this path to achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve, but I didn't tell you it was going to be easy. Didn't say that the enemy wasn't going to attack. You are going to have to deal with more because I am giving you more, but I need you to remember that I'm always with you. Even in those times where it does get tough, I'm still there. I'm not going to put you on this path and then leave you to figure it out on your own. So that's why I'm sitting here right now recording again. Just because I was brought back to this, I had to remember where I came from and remind myself to whom much is given, much is required. So just because it's getting tough doesn't mean I walk away from it. I'm still here. Whatever evil's out there that's going to keep trying to attack me, you can keep trying. I'm going to keep coming back. So this one's definitely one that has to go on here. I want to put it somewhere towards the middle. I think I'm going to cut it and put it under the year, but I haven't decided yet, so I'm going to set that one to the side. Sorry, somebody's texting me, but I'm going to set that one to the side. So that's one of the ones that's most important. There were some other ones that I wanted to share. So in the middle, just showing you some of the ones. I won't go through all these because some of these are longer prayers that this video will be long. But this is one of the ones I put on here a couple times. You are okay, I got you, God. There's this one too. You need not to worry, God. So the ones that have dash God underneath, those are things that just came up in my conversations with God as I'm praying with him. These are things that he's mentioned to me. They actually are in longer prayers, which I have right here. But I also made those like bigger so it's the focal point, because I thought it was so funny that when I would be praying to God and God's telling me not to worry, he doesn't say don't worry, but it always comes out in this specific verbiage: you need not to worry. That's how I hear it every single time. So I knew for sure I needed to put that on the board as my reminder. Remembering those prayers literally just brings me comfort. But then I have some other Bible verses, some other prayers. So let me just start throwing these in here. I'm trying to think if there's a specific way I want to do this or if I'm just going to randomly throw them on. That one I'm going to cut. Now I have too many. I gotta try to figure out how I'm doing this. So I got them all laid out on the board now, and I know you can't see the full board. I'll show you in a moment. It doesn't look exactly how I had envisioned it to look, but it's going to work. But I just wanted to tell you quickly, because I actually haven't taped them down. I just laid them out. I bought 28 and 23 photos, so 51. So out of 51 images, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left over. So if you're getting this size board and you are doing 4x6s, get anywhere between, I would say 40 and 50, just because it's like playing Tetris, trying to figure out how to put them. Like I have one that's sideways, actually a couple are sideways. I wasn't measuring, trying to figure out how big or small I wanted the font, so I had to work with what I have. But some of the ones that I'm keeping off, which there's a couple I wish I did fit in here. One is Revelation 7 verse 17. For the Lamb who is at the center of the throne will shepherd them. He will guide them to springs of waters of life, and God will wipe away every tear. Then I also have Psalms 40 verse 2. He lifted me up out of the pit of death, out of the mud and filth, and set my feet on solid rock. He steadied my legs. This is one of the ones I really wish I fit in here, which I might swap out something, because that's literally what 2024 was for me, and I feel like I need that as a reminder, because if I literally gave you guys my testimony right now and explained what I went through in 2024 and how I'm here right now, a lot of you, especially those of you that aren't believers, would think I'm crazy. But I can't even share all of that with you guys right now, nor do I think I'm quite ready yet to even do that, just because I want to be able to do it without crying so much, and I haven't gotten there yet. Luckily, so far right now, I haven't cried. But I don't think I'm fully there yet, so when the time is right, I will. But this is one that I wish I fit on there, which I'll try to squeeze in somewhere. Another one that I probably needed: don't be anxious about tomorrow. God will take care of your tomorrow. Live one day at a time. because my anxiety. This is the first time in my life I've ever had to deal with anxiety. I've never dealt with this before. Never had panic attacks before until I had to deal with this. When I had the very first panic attack, I didn't even know that's what was happening to me until it became a daily thing of my life, and I was explaining to my doctor and therapist, and that's when I learned that I was having panic attacks. So that's one that I kind of wanted on there, but oh, and that's Matthew 6 verse 34. And then another one, you're broken for a purpose. Challenges in life teaches us to be humble. It is in your lowest moments you learn to depend on God. It is in the worst you understand that you cannot do it alone. This is another one I definitely needed on there because you guys just don't understand how heartbroken I was. The majority of 2024 literally went from being this extreme high on cloud 9. I was in the best place of my life, extremely happy, to being in the darkest, deepest place of my life, a place I've never even been before. So this is one that really does sit with me just because this was the lowest moment of my life. I've never been lower than that. And I truly had to learn to depend on God. That's all I had. You guys know in that video I did in June where I talked about just feeling so alone. I was by myself trying to figure it out. And it was something this is a situation I couldn't figure out on my own. And this is one of those situations where I did have to learn that I can't do it on my own, but I had to turn to God on this one for sure. Because there was no person on this earth that could help me no matter how hard they tried. I mean, I had groups of people that are trying to help me between, doctors, therapists, all of that stuff. They're doing what they can to help me, but nobody can help me like God did. And then I have Romans 8 verse 26. God understands the cries of our hearts even when they are too deep for words. And this is where I feel like I'm about to cry and I'm trying really hard not to. I literally have to smile to keep from crying right now because I think that video was like the last time that I was able to actually even speak. As you can see in that video, I was crying so hard, but somehow I found the words to at least be able to tell you guys, just like right now, I can't do it anymore. I had to stop. And from there, like I couldn't even speak. Like a friend came over to sit with me after that video. So after that video went up, I sat and I prayed because I didn't know what else to do, but I really just felt like that was it for me. And I was trying not to call all my friends and tell them. I didn't want to have to explain this to everyone. I didn't want to have to answer 1,000,001 questions. I already saw how my siblings and my mother were with all their questions. And rightfully so, I get people are going to have their questions because they're just trying to check on me and make sure I'm okay. But it was just too much, especially dealing with the criminal side of things and having to explain that all over and over again. Is literally you're reliving the moment over and over again, something you just want to so bad be able to forget, but you can't forget because every second of every day is playing in your head. You can't even close your eyes or go to sleep because then you're waking up from nightmares. It just never stops. So I didn't want to call anyone to tell them, but I was just being told just go ahead and call. Just make the phone call. I called my friend. My friend came right away and literally sat with me just in silence because I couldn't speak. I couldn't say anything. I just didn't even have the words. I didn't know what to say. So this is one that really sits with me because it's like God understands even when I don't have the words. He sent the right person to be there with me without this person asking 1,000,001 questions. I was able to just be able to sit in silence. So this one I need to find a place for. I might get a separate frame for it and just put it on my desk. And since I just went on rambling, there is one more prayer that I have, but I'm not going to read it. I'm going to go ahead and take these down so I can get this all finalized. I'll show you guys the full board once I get the actual frame on it, and then that should be it. And it is all done. I have it all taped down and in place. Let me see if I can show it to you really quickly. If not, I'll insert separate footage. Oh, you guys are gonna see my lights now, but look, it is done. Now, I don't know if you can see close up. It's like a lot of words, a lot of prayers. My 2025 kind of shifted. So it's no longer centered. It's kind of shifted to the left, but that's okay. is on there. And at first when I kind of looked at it after it was all done, I feel like it might be a lot of words. It can seem like a bit much. But honestly, I feel like that's just gonna describe what my year is gonna be like in a nutshell. It's gonna be off-centered because I'm going to experience some things I'm not used to experiencing. It's something new I have to deal with. It's going to be a new strength I'm gonna have to pull out from deep inside of me to get through it. It's gonna be chaotic. It may not all make sense. Honestly, I know it's not going to make sense. But in the end, it's all gonna come together and it's all gonna be done with God. So I feel like this literally just lays out my year already without it even starting. I don't know, I could be projecting and God can completely shock me and it not go how I think it's going to go. But who knows, we'll find out in 2025. Now, before I wrap this video up, I do want to take the time to thank those of you that reached out to me. I know some of you left comments on the last video that I posted. I haven't gone through any of them. Honestly, that video went up and I haven't touched YouTube since. But I know a lot of you did comment on that video. I have had some of you email me, DM me on Instagram. I do want to take this moment just to thank all of you guys for your kind words and for your support. And for those of you that are still watching and still continue to support me, I do want to thank you for that. Thank you for your patience with me during this time. And for those of you that were worried about me, just know that I am doing okay. I'm not 100%. I am working to get there, but I'm not quite there yet. But I know in time that I am going to get there, so no need to worry about me. There were even some of you that sent out your phone numbers to me, telling me to reach out to you. I didn't use your phone numbers for certain reasons, just for, my safety. I'm already dealing with enough. I couldn't trust anyone, still can't really trust anyone, so there's nothing against you, so I hope you don't take it personally, but I did not use those phone numbers for those reasons. I have to protect me. But I do want to say thank you. If you're a prayer warrior, just pray for me. Continue to pray for me because this journey's not over for me. But although it's not over, I'm still working on me so that way I can get consistent with posting videos. I already started planning out a bunch of videos I want to do. I literally have all the videos from last year that I was supposed to do that I didn't get to put out. So I have stuff coming your way. I promise you I'm not done. I don't care how many times the devil tries to discourage or attack me. It's not going to work. I'm going to continue because God told me to. Just know that going forward, you might see a difference in some of my content just because this has all changed me. I'm not the person I once was. Yes, I'll continue doing my videos, helping you guys start your businesses and talking about business. That's what brings me joy. That's what I love talking about anyway. So you'll see that, but it'll probably be a different tone of voice. You'll probably also see more vlog style videos too versus me sitting there with planned out videos like I normally do, just because some days, especially when I am a little down, it's easier for me to just do a vlog version and force myself to just get back in front of the camera and to take control of my life again. So sometimes that's just what works for me, so it may be that way. The only thing with the vlogging, I gotta go back to being private. I can't open my life up because it's just too much. I can't let these crazy people into my life. Not saying that all of you are crazy, but trust me, there's people that are just watching just to watch. They have no intentions of starting a business. They're not interested in anything I'm talking about. They're just planning their next attack. So I gotta keep my life private. I wanted to open up and show you guys more, but unfortunately I can't. But you'll be surprised some of the things you will get to see. I just gotta be cautious with what I am showing and what I am doing. But that's it for today's video. Again, thank you guys for your patience. Hopefully I'll be able to upload another video soon. But until then, thank you guys for watching.